Right off the bat before any game took place, Dedede isn't a king, he just claims to be one. Despite many being his willing subjects, he still isn't officially a king across the entire series, otherwise descriptions would stop consistently saying how he's the one to claim being a king, or putting that rank into question. Dreamland is otherwise a small country with no recognized kingdom, and his position allows Dedede to be treated royally and to rule all of Dreamland, meaning that he can be charged with fraud. There are several crimes committed here. First there is conspiracy. King Dedede is the leader of a band of thieves. They presumably act in his orders because all the food will now belong to King Dedede. Leading organized crime can't be charged with anything else as they don't regularly do anything that we know of. Second, there is burglary for stealing all the food of Dreamland, which again is a small country. Even if it isn't shown, we can reasonably assume that they had to break into people's houses to do so. Third, there is grand larceny for stealing the treasured sparkling stars, which is used by the inhabitants of Dreamland to gather food. And fourth, endangering public safety as this led to everyone being hungry, risking starvation en masse. King Dedede either knew this was going to happen and didn't care, or he simply didn't think this through and couldn't tell the consequences out of stupidity. Either way, it's criminal negligence. Many enemies attack Kirby across Dreamland. King Dedede doesn't necessarily send regular enemies to attack Kirby, and at least Waddle Dees are implied in most games to not have directly attacked Kirby, instead simply causing him problems. But the four bosses of the game can presumably be said to have attacked Kirby in a way that's King Dedede's fault, as each boss defends a sparkling star, even if they weren't necessarily told to attack anyone who seeked the sparkling stars. Later on, when Kirby needs to fight again those four bosses, this was stated to be because King Dedede ordered them to come back to protect him, so he was fully aware of what was going to happen. This would be aiding and abetting for the first four fights, criminal solicitation for the final boss rush, and child endangerment because Kirby is a young kid. King Dedede makes the final battle into a spectacle by having it be in a ring. In remakes of the story there is even a public ever praising the matter. If Kirby were to be confirmed to agree with this, there would be no crimes here, but his main goal is to recover everything Dedede stole, and Dedede puts a setting that strongly implies that this can only be resolved in a fight, and none of the public helps Kirby in his main goal. This should be enticement on top of assault and battery. Also, I will not register his inhale attack as a sexual battery, as an old statement claims this to be a talent of self-defense the residents of Dreamland developed, so I'll assume to them this is equal to any other regular attack they could throw at each other. Clarification 1. Across all the series, King Dedede could be argued to always be pardoned for his actions as time passes, given that Dreamland is a silly place where everyone is friends with each other, which includes Dedede and Kirby, or Dedede with everyone he endangers, and nobody ever bothers to do anything against Dedede beyond reactionary having Kirby sent to beat him up. However, there is no statement or implication that could be used to even vaguely justify this, and furthermore his deeds are remembered with resentment by at least Kirby, while others know that Dedede is an unfair individual. His minions talk well about him, but this is likely to be because of their loyal bias towards him, whereas it isn't known the opinions of others he negatively affected that don't work for him. If Kirby, who's one of the closest friends Dedede has, and someone dumb in universe, still feels uneased by King Dedede's past actions, then so should everyone else he affected, and so should his actions count as having gone unpunished. There is a difference between being charismatic in a populated setting and forgiven by past crimes, and being charismatic and simply unpunished. The latter implies that either nobody cares to punish them, or that doing so is uncommon by the rules and logic that apply in universe. Thus it's not something any character would conclude out of lack of options. It's not a solid display of forgiveness applicable to every character in that setting. Still, Dedede has the best argument to be made for a pardon, whereas much later on the series would downright have some evil, destructive characters hang around peacefully and unchallenged. Clarification 2. For reference of what will or will not be used, non-canon subgames will be used as they canonically show what Kirby and other characters are able to do. They simply aren't canon in the sense that they didn't occur. This is a personal decision from my part, as being able to do a crime in character doesn't mean that one should be sentenced for it if they didn't do said crime. That said, most of the activities Dedede does aren't crimes. They explicitly can be games he plays with Kirby, or challenges he sets up for a warrior like Kirby to overcome through violence, since again everyone is friends with each other in Dreamland. Thus, it's reasonable to assume mutual consent unless implied otherwise. Clarification 3. None of the actions Dedede does under mind control, possession or notable corruption, will be counted. However, if he was mildly corrupted in a way that his actions are still mostly his own, and only slightly worsened by the effects of the corruption, or if it's left vague to what percentage the actions of a corrupted character were their own, and to what percentage it wasn't, then I will decide to make them accountable for all their actions. Same standards will apply to all characters in the series. The start of this game needs context. King Dedede steals and breaks the Star Rod as a means to frustrate Nightmare's attack on Dreamland, thinking he was doing everyone a favor by doing this, and even being stated to not have meant any harm. Nonetheless, this was needlessly reckless, and a less troubled person would have just informed everyone the situation to come up with a solution together. Kirby didn't give Dedede much of a chance to explain himself, which is partially Dedede's own fault, as his actions caused everyone to be restless and irritable, but Dedede clearly saw this as a chance to one-up Kirby, putting an effort to construct an elaborated adventure for Kirby to go through, without expecting him to succeed, and without any clear end goal or plan for the situation he put Dreamland in. I don't disbelieve how he did not mean any harm, at least from one point of view, but intentionality is irrelevant in this case. First, Dedede gets grand larceny for stealing the Star Rod from the Fountain of Dreams, which is a priceless artifact that allows the residents of Dreamland their ability to dream, which they somehow don't naturally have, and it powers the Fountain of Dreams, when the energy of several of them allows anyone to summon a wish-granting entity to be granted a wish. I'm just going to add a priceless for the amount of money this would cost. Second, there is vandalism for destroying it given the reasoning above. Specifically, he aimed to destroy it rather than it being accidentally destroyed, which is not the same as him having good reasons for destroying it, which, in turn, explicitly doesn't absolve Dedede, despite how a casual look at the charge can imply that there needs to be malicious intent. Second and third, there is endangering public health and reckless infliction of emotional distress, since this caused people to feel uneasy. Everyone in the small country of Dreamland was restless and irritable via losing the ability to dream, and the joyful laughter that had once resounded through Dreamland could no longer be heard. Lastly, there is criminal solicitation for giving the pieces of the Star Rod to his friends, the bosses of the game Kirby needs to fight, which were stated to be persuaded, bribed, lured by friends, or just passing by chance, with Heavy Mole having been persuaded to sign a contract for a year's worth of coal. Since King Dedede laid many traps along the way Kirby needs to travel, I will charge him with booby trapping, assault and battery. The latter two could be seen as attempted, but Kirby isn't invincible or untouchable. He can take several hits before going down and easily heal over time, so I'll assume he has been harmed by this. I will also add reckless endangerment, because this happens in areas that any being from Dreamland can hang around in, since the bosses are hidden across this small country, and, allegedly, at least Waddle Dees unintentionally hinder Kirby. To be fair, these beings apparently always revive when dying, meaning that they are under no threat of permanent death by assault, but assault or murder to them would still be assault or murder. They still feel pain. He could have tried talking this through. King Dedede steals all the stars in the sky. Rather, he kidnaps them, as these old stars in Dreamland have sentience. These are not the real stars in the universe. It's specified that there were thousands of these sentient stars, so I will apply the rule of merger. Even then, he didn't finish the deed in one night. He kidnapped apparently all the stars in one night, and, from what we see, he came back to kidnap one more he missed 2 nights later. As such, I will assume he was kidnapping them each of the 3 nights shown, either taking an even amount each night, or reaching hard for the ones he missed, because they were not easy to find during the last 2 nights. I find reasonable to give him 3 charges of kidnapping with each the maximum penalty. There is also reckless infliction of emotional distress, because every night that passed with a pitch black sky everyone was in a state of shock. They were so worried that they stopped eating their delicious meals, and no longer enjoyed having dreams. Quote, their spirits were sinking fast. Eventually, laughter ceased in Dreamland, and everyone stopped smiling. Booby trapping, assault and battery and child endangerment for setting up many traps in his castle. And criminal solicitation and child endangerment for giving his servants each a star as they wait for Kirby, Dedede having ordered his strong henchmen to stand guard and wait Kirby's arrival. Even though the explosion happened after the robot was destroyed, I will assume game mechanics made it so what we saw isn't exact, and what happened was due to the robot being destroyed and blowing up, and not because DDD set his castle to self-destruct or something along these lines. On top of battery and assault with a deadly weapon, I will also add mutilation, since this blows away pieces of Mr. Star. The latter can heal them back to his body when reattaching them manually, sure, but he still feels pain, and it's out of sheer luck that he didn't lose the pieces of his body by not knowing where to find them. There is lastly reckless endangerment due to Mr. Star and his pieces raiding over Dreamland, which could, and has, fallen over residents. King Dedede again steals all the stars in the sky. I don't think these are the same stars, but they do have faces, so I will add it as kidnapping, false imprisonment because of how enemies have them, and I will assume criminal solicitation because of the latter. Otherwise this doesn't appear to have the same effect as the last time he stole the stars. In Battle Royale, King Dedede uses his riches to build a stadium where he has a tournament with an audience, and a line of dialogue suggests how the stadium may fall in if Dedede isn't careful in a fight. This Waddle Dee has no reason to know this for sure, but I will choose to believe Dedede in fact built and had an audience in a stadium that can become unsafe via reasonable, foreseeable circumstances.